You're watching The Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
What's up, the internet? It's Kyle. I'm here. We're here. We are here, and we are all together. Cuckoo, Kachoo. Jay is the Eggman. But Sean Butler, first comment, woo. This is in stores this week, where we talk about comics that are in stores this week, needless punctuation, and sometimes other things. Like, I'm sure I'm going to get crap for butchering the Beatles, but still going with the joke. Later on, you never know what's going to happen, because we're, as Dan said earlier, super professional. I just spent an hour and a half watching your wrestling videos, so who knows? I might cut a promo. But this is in stores this week. It's a small comic week, so we're going to have to fill with other miscellaneous dumbness, or end early, whichever comes first. So stick around. We will be here for the next little bit, talking about comics that are in stores this week. Where is the opener? Oh, here it is. Welcome back to In Stores This Week. I'm still Kyle. Jay is still the Eggman, and there's Dan.
Oh, and speaking of miscellaneous crap?
Yeah.
Did you guys see the trailer for Gotham Knights?
Without the sound, but yeah.
Wow, is that bad? What happened to the Arrowverse and CW? It would be an interesting Elseworlds, maybe, but as a TV show?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, they canceled a bunch of Naomi and Legends of Tomorrow and what was the other one? But yeah. And then they decided to go with that. It's like, and Batwoman. It's like, really? You're going to go that direct? Okay.
I'm sure Flash doesn't have too much longer either.
No. You think Stephen Amell's sitting back going, damn, I got out at the right time?
Yes, absolutely.
No, he's sitting back going, damn, my back hurts. Why did I agree to do my own stunts on heels?
Oh, yeah, he's still doing that show, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The show's great. Sean Butler, CW has ruined every show but Superman and Lois and Stargirl. It's because they were unruinable badness from the beginning.
I watched only one episode of Stargirl. It was okay. I haven't watched Superman and Lois. I've just kind of tuned out the CW. Literally, I think I've watched maybe a handful of episodes after Crisis where they killed Green Arrow. And then I just kind of stopped caring, you know? And it used to be a major part of my life because I covered it for Bleeding Cool. I watched all of them. I reported on them. It was constant. And then I wasn't working at Bleeding Cool anymore. And they killed my favorite character in DC Comics. And it was like, I think I finished Black Lightning and that was it.
Superman and Lois is just less good. The Adventures of Lois and Clark. Bring back Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. Also, make me 4 again when I thought that was good. That one was garbage too, but I was 4, so I didn't care.
True. Yeah, I thought The Greatest American Hero was awesome.
Hey.
It was. Don't.
Hey, come on.
I sang the theme song in a talent contest.
Yes. And you won.
Sort of. I got pulled into an actual added performance for the school, so sort of.
Yeah, that's a win. That's a win.
And I can't sing.
That statement right now is like saying, well, we're the band who performed the theme song to how did I blank on that name right now? We're moving on.
Okay.
St. Elmo's Fire.
John Parr,
Yeah.
Man in
It's
Motion.
like being John Parr.
And by the way, theme for the Greatest American Hero was Joey Scarberry.
Okay.
Well, before we move on, has that ever been a comic? Greatest American Hero? And why not if it hasn't been?
I'm vaguely remembering it as a comic. And I know I got to meet, now I can't think of the main actor's name.
Cat? No.
William Catt.
There you go.
Got to meet William Catt and Robert Culp at San Diego Comic-Con one year.
Ooh.
Got to go out and hang with them for a bit. So,
All right.
William was
So
awesome.
Greatest American Hero was published by Arcana in 2008. Best I could tell, it was one issue.
Was William Catt involved in that?
I'm wrong. It was 3 whole issues. I am live looking. I'm live googling. Give me just a minute.
I'm asking because when I talked to William Catt at Comic-Con that year, and it was around that time, he started picking my brain on publishing comics because I'd done self-publishing and stuff. So I knew he was somewhat involved in comics at that point. Robert Culp, on the other hand, looked like they had to roll him in there and roll him out. He was not looking that good at the time, but
William Catt wrote it.
okay, that must have been what he was. Yeah.
And at some point he signed some because I found a listing from a company we all know who does signed things with that one.
Henri?
Oh.
Yes.
So, William Catt, if you're watching, let Dan write Greatest American Hero with you. I'd read that.
No,
Everybody
let
would read
Dan sing the cover.
that too. Yes.
Be the first ever live motion, like TikTok style cover. Like it's just Dan singing the theme on the cover. Every cover has like a little video screen on it. Like one of those cards that just plays the song over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Really bad idea.
That's $1 billion idea. Do it.
Too late. It's happening.
Hey, aren't we supposed to be talking comics today?
Aren't we
We
talking
are.
about comics right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of are.
And because it's a light week, this is a great week to head into your local comic shop, find their certainly dollar bins, and find the Greatest American Hero comics if they have them.
And a lot of the stuff I wrote.
Well, we weren't going to say that out loud. All right. Let's start. So we only had 6 books this week.
We did.
And there was one I couldn't read. I tried 4 times. 4 times, 3 pages in, I dropped my iPad on my face.
Had a feeling that was the one you were going to say. You know,
No.
I realized I have never watched Avatar. I don't know how it works. The whole idea that there's the body thing, I don't get. You know
I know
how
they have sex with their tails. That's what I know.
So for the humans that they call the sky gods or the pink skins,
yeah.
they have avatars that are basically genetically engineered bodies for them to slip their consciousness into, and they pilot them around. So that way, because the planet, which I cannot remember, Pandora, I think is the planet name. The atmosphere is poisonous to humans. So that's how they travel around.
Okay.
Sean, did you read all of Jay's books this week?
He read a couple of them, actually.
Send Sean the link. We only have 6 books. Might as well get more opinions.
No, I thought it was an okay story. I mean, it felt very Star Trek to me. You know, like we just happen to be dealing with the alien races instead of the Federation interacting with them. So, but
I know
yeah,
I know that the production of these movies. I know the production of these movies cost enough that they could have ended world hunger. So, there's that. No, never saw the original. Never was interested. Didn't read issue 1 of this, and as a result, issue 2 was coma-inducing.
How did you miss? Was it the week you weren't here?
I think so.
Must have been one of the weeks I wasn't here.
Yeah, I think it was.
Because we did cover it. That's why I went ahead.
I'm certain you did. I remember seeing it.
Yeah,
but it was one of those. Well, I'm not there, and I'm not interested.
Yeah.
All right.
So I did.
Bottom line, if you like the Avatar universe, I think you'll like this story. It's an interesting story. You do need to know the background for the characters to understand it really well. There's not a lot of explanation. Good writing, good art. It looks good. I think, again, if you're an Avatar fan, get this book. If you're not an Avatar fan, why are you even looking at it?
Right. I will say this: every time I see Avatar or think of Avatar, I think of the episode of Parks and Recreation where Andy Samberg was on as the park ranger who screams all the time, just walking around going, "Have you seen Avatar?" That's
my only thoughts on this is I can see why it's boring. It felt like just a setup issue for 3. Hopefully something happens in issue 3.
Yeah.
all right. A book that I haven't been a fan of, but I thought this one was fun. Rick and Morty Infinity Hour #3.
Man, are they leaning into the Star Wars parody?
That's true.
I mean, it got over the top. I mean, we already had the Han Solo Chewbacca thing with Oodle and the pilot guy, but I mean, it kind of turned up to 11 on this one. So, I had never watched Rick and Morty up until recently, and then Lisa got me to watch some episodes, and I'm like, this is really demented, and I like it. Though I don't remember him referring to himself by his last name as much in the series as he does in the comics. But again, another one, Rick and Morty fans. It's Rick and Morty.
I have almost no frame of reference. I've not seen the show either. And this is the first volume of the comic I've read.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've read all 3 issues as we've covered them. But this was not a for me thing, the first 2 issues at least. This was fun. I enjoyed this read. Is this the end of the series? Do we know?
I don't think so.
Okay. Given that knowledge, I will go back and read 1 and 2. I'll pick them up from a store or someplace. Read 1 and 2 and keep pushing through it because I think there might be something developing in this story for me. So it was a great opportunity for them to completely change my perspective on the book.
Yeah, issue 4 will be in stores in July.
There you go.
Well, for me personally, I'm not a Rick and Morty fan. Jenna watches it. I do like the other show he has, Solar Opposites. I don't know why I like that one and not Rick and Morty. But that being said, this is one of those rare comics based off a TV show. You're either going to love the show, love the comic, love the show, hate the comic, or you're going to hate the show and love the comic. And I'm in that spectrum. I don't hate the show, but I'm not a fan. This book, though, it's funny, it's violent. I like the comic more than the show.
I like how they kind of gloss over things. Like, Where'd you get a Battletech suit from? I made it out of the stuff I cut out of the floor. What? That would have been like a long period. Nope, he did it. Okay, we're just moving on. Moving on.
Yeah. I would tell you, even if you're not a fan of the show, give the book a chance.
Yeah, it's some real clever writing. And the art's good too. I mean, this is another one that I like what they're doing.
All right. Next up, Grim Fairy Tales Zodiac. This is not the A cover. This is the Riviero cover.
Mm-hmm.
Jay likes to do that to me, where
Sorry.
when he pulls the art, he picks the one, and it's not the cover I recognize from having read it. So now I have to look stuff up.
Hey, I tried to help you guys out by putting that it's listed also as Grim Spotlight number 6, rather than just Grim Spotlight Zodiac.
That's actually how I found it was number 6.
Yeah, I noticed that when I compare the books when I get them to what's shipping this week, and I'm like, hang on, okay. Yeah. This is a weird one because it's a villain trying to go good. It's heavy into IRA, which is a weird callback. Because, I mean, yeah, the IRA was big years ago, but they haven't really been a thing for decades.
Although Sinn Féin just had their first ever Irish prime minister elected. And Sinn Féin was the political wing of the IRA.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that seemed like a weird connection to make. You know, I mean, if this guy was part of the IRA, it was like in the last few weeks of it type of thing. But it ties into the Black Knight book that we've read a few weeks back. Again, it's a Zenescope book. Decent art all the way through.
Decent storytelling.
Decent storytelling.
It's not a Pulitzer Award. It's not.
No. I like the fact that we got a male lead character finally. It's been a while.
Right.
But there really wasn't anything to him.
Right. I liked the swerve. He's a good guy. He's a bad guy. He's a good guy. You know, he's a runner. He's a track star. It's, you got to figure that out, right? It's you don't know which side Zodiac is going to come down on.
Oh yeah, he swerved more than Nancy Pelosi's husband the other night.
Wow, it's a dark joke, Dan. I appreciate that. That's a dark joke. No, the mind control thing and this, that, and the other. Sure, I get it. It's fine. The only thing that I think is I set that statement up wrong. The biggest redeeming quality this book has is that you don't know how it's going to end until it ends.
Yeah.
So often, especially with the Zenescope books, you go, well, clearly Belle is not going to die in the book called Belle.
Yeah.
But because this is a Zenescope, Grim Presents, or Grim Spotlight, it's possible. And then because of the swerve and the swerve and the swerve, you're just not sure how it's going to come down. And so at least it does its job in storytelling to draw you through to the end.
I don't get the names. Why was she called Hydra with those abilities? That's not a Hydra. That's like a siren or, some kind of mental. Why is she Hydra?
Why is he called Zodiac? He's not a serial killer that looks vaguely like Paul Dano in a Batman movie.
Yeah. And what was the brother's name? Scorpio or something?
Yeah.
Scorpion.
The names are not great. Names are hard.
Yeah. Well,
they are.
See, and this was another first for me because I've never heard of this character, Zodiac. But again, I am more used to Grim Tales of Terror or Grim Fairy Tales, or the furthest I've ventured out was evil superheroes and Cinderella serial killer. Now, again, like with what Dan said, it was nice to have a male character, but it's still a team up book, and we're still bringing in another female character. And even though he's a male character, the story for me was so generic. Again, I could have put anybody, male or female, in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was twisty and turny, I will give it that, but the majority of the story was just so generic, and the art for me, I guess I just have this headspace of what Zenescope books look like, and I'm used to the cover art is the same art you get inside the book, but it feels like with these books that we've been reading about these characters, there are certain panels that I'm like, I'm not an artist, but why would you put this in a book?
Yeah, I can see that.
See, and I'm from the school where the Zenescope covers have nothing to do with the art that's inside of the book.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to as well. But
like they're nothing like the art that's inside of the book, because the art on the cover is just some girl with giant breasts kind of hanging out or bent over showing you her butt, and then you get on the inside and she's destroying everything.
Well, okay, I don't mean okay, the art quality, not like the character. Talk about just
I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that was that was a thing. I mean, but I can see where you're coming from. Like it is a disparate thing, and especially looking at this cover, right? Like if you're looking at the other cover, the A cover, which I don't have pulled up, maybe it feels a little more normal. Feels a little more comparable to the inside, because the A cover is just kind of a vanilla cover anyway.
Yeah, well, this feels like something you see in a superhero book, and I don't think of Zenescope as superhero books. But they kind of became that, haven't they?
In a way, for sure.
Yeah.
It's vanilla ice cream. So I mean, like I said, I liked it. It wasn't the greatest writing, and it's why it's not the best book on our list this week, I think. But it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been, should have been.
Oh, bring that back up. He's got scorpions on his arms. Why is he Zodiac and not Scorpion or Scorpio?
Because they.
Okay. I'm good. I am good. All right.
Comics are weird, Dan. Comics are weird.
Comics.
So this weekend was AEW's Double or Nothing event in Vegas. And my friend sends me a photo. And I'm watching it. And this is how this relates. He sends me this photo of a character called Tony. That's Tony Nese. And that's Smart Mark Sterling, who plays a lawyer on AEW. And the caption is wrestling. And it occurs to me that much like comics, if you had no context for this photo, you would immediately know, oh, that's wrestling. Like, comics are weird. So is wrestling. So, Smart Mark Sterling looked like one of the kids from the cult in Dude, Where's My Car? So, all right. The last three books we have on our list, and we're 26 minutes into the show. are two books that were really great, and one book that has a lot of porn in it. This is the porny book, I think. No, I'm kidding. This one has a pink demon, which is an equivalency.
Okay. Go on.
I thought this was great. This was so fun for me. The best part of it is that the big, bad, worst possible thing is essentially a piece of pink snot. It's a demon.
Yep.
Like,
It's cotton candy demon.
right. I guess it's a Pokemon? I don't even know. Like, you know, you have this Red Sitha story, which is taking place in the Red Sonja universe, I guess.
Mhm.
And things are starting to become more clear about the brother and, you know, the goals and this, that, and the other. And you get to the end, you get to the middle section of the book, and you think, okay, Red Sitha is going to do a Red Sonja thing. And boom. It's the lead character from the manga. That time I was reincarnated as a slime. And then you get, like, there's some more storytelling that goes on. She finds a friend, someone she knows, who's also kind of her ilk. And, like, okay, it's a weird situation. And then there's this swerve at the end that sets up the next book in a great way.
Mm-hmm.
And other than Red Sonja in the shirt, this is the best work Dynamite is doing with the Red Sonja verse right now.
I agree with you on that. I wasn't a huge fan of what Mirka Andolfo was doing on the Red Sonja run. That said, it's led into this. It was the setup for this series, and this series is an absolute blast. You know, it's fun, it's quirky, there's a great sense of humor to it. And the art works. I think the art here is better than what was on her previous series. But I do like these characters a lot. You know, I like that just the way the story's unfolding. It's very loose and it's a lot of fun.
Okay, so I'm kind of the odd man out on this one. I do like the story. Don't get me wrong. But I still have the issue of pick a vernacular. Either she's going to speak the way she speaks and everybody else around her speaks like that, or don't. Like it almost feels like if you take Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, the character, and you dropped him in the movie Excalibur, but he still spoke the same way that he speaks in Jay and Silent Bob.
But I think, isn't that kind of the thing, though? She is a fish out of water in a big way here.
And I get that.
She is
not
her friend, who's the Seven Veils dancer, speaks similarly to her.
Yes, that was nice to see, actually.
Right. So you're saying it's like taking Jay from Jay and Silent Bob and dropping it into Excalibur. I think it's like taking Jay from Jay and Silent Bob and dropping it into Train Spotting.
See, I don't like that analogy as much. It's because I'm thinking Sir Jay and Silent Percival now. But
oh, I see that movie.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Right. You know, Sir Jay and Silent Robert, the clown. Like, she comes from a different place and a different background, right? Yeah. Than the people she's dealing with. And so she speaks differently. It's, I don't know, being in the North, like living in the North but being from the South and calling Pepsi Coke. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, I know, but I guess the feeling is she speaks a more modern, kind of like in a more modern way than everybody around her. And I guess
That
that's
I
what,
get, that I can feel.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess that's what throws me off. But again, these two books and a couple of the other ones, that's all I've read of Red Sonja, this world. So I didn't know if this is how the characters are all the time.
No, Red Sonja is much more uptight,
Oh, okay.
much more Conan.
And see, that's how I remember her. Bridget Nielsen playing her in Red Sonja.
Yeah, and I get what they're doing with the like doing a fish out of water vernacular is going to be different. I kind of immediately adapted that. Maybe not so much in the first issue because I remember having some of that complaint in the first issue, but in this issue I got a little more of it. It's well, this person is this, the name is 3 hyphenate. There's 7 X's in their name and whatever. Like, okay, clearly this is a different thing. So I was able to read into that a little more of the difference. So
All right.
yeah, Dan.
No, that,
I think Dan's just like, come on, let's go.
All right. So let's go with this one.
now, see, that's not fair because we could do the other two and then I could leave.
Nope. Nope, you get to stay here for this one. Okay.
Wait, there's 2 more. I only have 1 more photo.
Jim Henson, Storytellers, and We Have Demons.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I don't know what happened to Storytellers. I'll get it, though. But let's talk about Demons because it's still the right order.
Yeah. It's funny. We've read this and reviewed this once before. When it was coming out from Comixology, we hadn't done the first 2 books, and then we talked about this one. And
We hated it.
well, I didn't hate it, but it was confusing. But I thought there was potential there. I just didn't understand it. And this is so much better now, having read the first 2 chapters. I really like this book. I feel like it's a little stunted because it's only 3-episode series or 3-issue series. It feels like it could have used another issue to kind of play out a little more, give us a little more character development. But overall, I like this little world that they've created. Snyder and Capullo make a great team. So, yeah, I think this is a 3-issue pickup, too, which is weird. Nobody has 3 issues anymore. They always work for the trade. So, yeah, but I really enjoyed this, and I love the art. Again, Capullo is a great artist, so, yeah.
Yeah, my goodness. I'm glad y'all went back, even though y'all have read this before, gone back and done this one again because I love this book. I love this book. I still love Gus. I still think he's the most awesome character in this book. It's funny how they are able to fit so much dialogue in the panels. Because, I mean, this one especially, there was a lot of dialogue in some of these panels. But it still didn't feel crowded, though. Like, I noticed it, but it didn't really take away from anything. The twist, I was kind of expecting it, but not the person that it was. That's all I'll say about that part. There are times, though, that the writing feels like a junior high kid who just learned to swear. It's not like a huge thing, but every now and then there's like, okay, like Deadpool Mad Lib or something going on here. But man, I hope. I know this was only supposed to be a 3-issue thing, but I hope somebody's like, you know what? Maybe we should do more of this because this was so good.
Season 2, we still have demons.
Yeah.
Well, and that's my takeaway, right? Like when we read it the first time, I'm like, okay. Now it feels like a setup for another volume. Like we have to go off world and get Halo, or there's a lot of Horn and these people need our help kind of situation. And I didn't feel that way initially. Right. The first 2 issues really, really, really inform this one. Which of course is true because that's how story works.
Yes.
But it isn't, in my opinion, the greatest writing Scott Snyder has ever done. It may be the greatest work Greg Capullo has ever done. In my opinion. Now, that said, I loved the metaphor. I loved the kind of the kind of undertoned message of good and evil, and are humans inherently good and humans inherently bad. The faith messaging, I liked all of that. It ain't Court of Owls. So, like, in terms of Scott Snyder's greatest writing, it ain't that, but it's close. And Greg Capullo he used every inch of those biceps to draw crag lines and squigglies and eyes on demons, and it was beautiful. So, all right, moving on.
Storytellers.
You're not gonna play along with the gag?
Oh, that's an interesting cover. Didn't see that one.
That's the A cover.
Huh.
So
I'm gonna go ahead.
Real quick, I want to just bring up, this one is written by yet another creative team on the series, Deron Bennett and Danny Pendergast.
Mm-hmm.
Remember on this series, and we'll get into that in a second. Remember, it's important. Each of these stories comes from a different region in the series, and each of the creators of each story, the creator on each story, are from the region in which their story is told.
I've loved this series. The first 3 were just amazing to me. That said, I didn't like this one. The art was fine. The writing was fine. The story, the thing about the other ones is there was a moral or a message behind it. And like good fables are supposed to be, or good, and that's most of the stories they're pulling from. That's the purpose, to teach, or to teach a lesson. And I don't really feel like there was one in this one. The closest thing they got was, well, you shouldn't open your door at night when there's a bump, when you hear a bump in the night.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the moral of this one is don't open your door to strangers, right? No. It was a stranger danger story.
I don't think
they did a real bad job of conveying stranger danger.
Yeah. So where I really loved the other ones, and the art, it didn't feel like the old man and his dog. When I looked at the first page, I actually thought it was a woman, an older woman and a dog. So just this one just didn't click for me where the other ones did. So, and it's the last one.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily, dislike it. I didn't think it was as good as the other ones, but it was kind of a spooky one. The other ones didn't feel like spooky to me. But the awesome thing about just this series as a whole is it's awesome to me to hear like ghost stories and urban legends from different cultures and stuff. Like I've never heard of this. I mean, yes, it's basically stranger danger, but I've never heard a story kind of like it's kind of like a don't let me in, but it's not. I couldn't tell if it was a vampire though, or some kind of weird fire demon.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It felt like it was a vampire story that had a fire demon instead.
Yeah. But I hope that the series itself continues and we can keep reading these like these different legends and stuff from other places. Because I mean the Shapeshifters one was a four issue run, right? And
Yeah.
then I thought I saw that they had other
There was. They
storytelling.
did a fairies one. They've done a couple others.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if they send them to us, we'll look at them. But yeah,
This wasn't my favorite though.
See, and to me, this was the best. And here's why. I've heard all the other stories before, right? Like I've heard those myths or I've heard those fables before. This was the first truly new content that I had never heard. So I didn't know the end of the story. I didn't know where it was going. And my favorite episodes of shows like Storyteller or Wishbone or these other kind of anthological literary shows growing up were always the terrifying ones. And this felt like that end of the season. We're going to scare the bejesus out of you. And then we're going to come back next quarter with Cyrano de Bergerac. Right? Like it that's how it felt to me. Like it was that kind of end of a run, end of a series story that was designed to hook you. And by scaring you. And you wanted to find out more. And what is this scary thing? And why is this? And that's how this felt. The art wasn't incredibly stunning. I don't think the writing was hugely, prolific, but it fit the vibe I wanted from this story in the end.
all right.
And so, I think as a whole, when you look at it as a whole, it's the one part of traditional storytelling they don't hit, right? Like there's always a horror story or a ghost story or something that is, the thing we tell. It's the boogeyman, right? You had the Shapeshifters, which is a story about inclusion and not keeping others on the outside. You have the story about the fox, and the story about, kind of this conservation story and this don't judge a book by its cover story. And then what was the third one? I'm trying to remember now.
I don't remember what I had for lunch. So
Hold on. I could tell you. So there's Shapeshifters. There was the Fox one. There was the People by the River one. And there was the girl who was the dancer.
yes,
So this is the third thing, like, and that's for me why I liked it.
all right.
All right, here's how we're gonna do this last one.
Yes, cover me. Thank you.
So I made a joke that this one had a lot of porn in it, and it only did that because of the number of Kickstarter backers at, the stretch goals. But this is Karma, written by Dan Wickline, art by some not Dan Wickline guy.
Carlos Renault.
Yeah, it's by Carlos Renault. And we're going to make all kinds of not Dan Wickline jokes during this segment because we finally get to review a book one of us wrote. The only one of us who probably ever will. So get used to it, buddy.
Yeah.
So I read this book way back when it was originally on Kickstarter. Dan and I had booked an episode of the Dan Wickline Show where he was going to be interviewed about his book. And the host fell through at the last minute. So I read this whole book. And what did I read it in, Dan? Like an hour and a half?
Yeah.
And I remember telling you then what a fun story I thought it was and how it, in a big way, was sort of triggering for me because it's not a world I'm wholly unfamiliar with, but it's a part of a world I am unfamiliar with.
Mhm.
So I really want to commend you on telling a fantastic story. I reread it. I didn't get it until yesterday. It came this weekend while I was gone. So I laid in bed last night and read it till 3:30 in the morning. And really good job, dude. Thought it was super fun. I want there to be a part for the main character. Our not Karma, the photographer guy whose name I can't remember.
Alex.
Where he eventually gets saddled up with a slightly chubby guy and asked to do a web show where they read comics. Jay, what are you thinking?
This is the first thing by Dan that I knowingly read. And this was really good, man. Like, no lie. Just because we're on the show with you, people think, you got to be nice to them. No, man, this was really good. And if there's a way for people to get this, they need to get it. Like, it's sexy. The story is great. It does kind of give me a feeling. I'm like, almost. I'll be 40 this year, and every time I heard it, it felt like the door was opening. I hid it under the covers, like I was doing something wrong reading it. But it's a really good story, man. Like, I hope there's more. I hope you got more stories in this universe.
Well, a lot of it was based on some real events in my life, and there are more events to pull from. So, but it is a fictional story wrapped around those events. Yeah, I never dated a supermodel. Just saying.
He's being
Don't tell you that's right. No, I think two things are important to note about Karma, the book. One, it isn't real life. It is a fictionalized version of actual events, which you just said. And two, it is a real look at the inside of an industry a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
We talked about wrestling earlier, right? Like, a lot of people don't understand the ins and outs of that business and what goes on behind the scenes and that kind of stuff. It's the same with modeling and photography and content creation and there are very specific things and very specific story tropes because they're real. And this is that. When you're in that world, your societal norms are different than other people's societal norms. I don't think it's saying a whole lot because one of the covers she's topless is that in this world, when you're a photographer who works or a model who works this way, being nude is just not a big deal, right? Like, it just is.
Yeah.
That's kind of a thing, right? And so it's not really explained in the book because it doesn't need to be. It's not, right? It's not something that matters. It's, in the world of broadcasting where I come from, it's the I don't have time to be nice to you. I just need the story. Right? People don't understand those things. There's parts of every industry that are just very specific. And I think you do a great job of representing them without pandering or over-explaining.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I am going to tell you one part of the book that is true, and it goes to what you were just talking about. There's a scene in there where Alex goes in to talk to Anna, or is talking to Anna, and she's running late, and she's like, well, let me explain something to you. Come with me. She goes in to take a shower, leaves the curtain open or whatever, and has Alex just sit on the toilet while she talked to him. I had a good friend of mine who worked in the industry, a model who was that way. I would go over to go hang out with her, and we'd go out and have dinner or whatever. But whenever it was time for her to like grab a shower or something, it was come keep me company. And I'd be sitting or standing in the bathroom chatting with her while she took a shower. And that became just normal life for me because it was normal life for her. It was normal life to be around women completely naked and having conversations like, one girl who grew up as, her father was the town mortician and used to help him with the autopsies. Or another girl I spent talking about video games. And you get into these very mundane conversations, and the only thing that's unique about it is the girl's naked. It just becomes it doesn't. I don't want to say it becomes blasé. It just desensitizes you to nudity in a lot of ways. It just becomes the norm.
And what I would say about that is that it's not hot, right? Like, it's not.
Yeah.
We're talking about work, right? It's in the theater world. It's doing a quick change backstage. It's work. And that's the other thing that I felt like, and I would say this, were Nick here too. It was the mistake I thought they made on the Kickstarter. The book doesn't sexualize these situations. There's sex in the book, don't get me wrong. But it doesn't make it pornographic. The Kickstarter rewards being, well, the topless version of this photo and the nudie version of that. You kind of are.
Yeah.
It was my one kind of, hey, do I really need to have these stretch goal things? I don't really care. So that was my one. That was the other thing I wanted to mention is it's not overly sexualized. It's not all that kind of stuff. But if you're in a person who's not been around it, it's going to feel strange. So,
in Dynamite's defense, they have never published a book like this, and not knowing. I mean, I didn't really get a chance to talk to them much about the Kickstarter things. I was surprised to see what the rewards were, but we know better now that on this type of book, what people want are cover upgrades. Like the fact that all the covers went to hardcover at a certain point, or, maybe gold foil on a cover or stuff like that.
Yeah. Like on the, so this is the Merca Andolfo cover, right? If that purple would have been purple foil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those cover upgrades, a multi-signed book plate, right? So it's, my copy has your signature in it, but I'd have loved to, for my Stepan Sedgwick cover, had Stepan Sedgwick's autograph on a book plate.
That would be cool, but the problem is that Stepan is not local. Stepan is not in the U.S.
I'm talking as an example, like as a cover upgrade kind of thing, right? Like it's okay, we'll do book plates, or what was one of my favorite upgrades that sometimes you get is like gold gilded pages.
Yeah.
Or a ribbon bookmark. They're not big things. They're not crazy expensive things. They're nice little add-ons.
Yeah.
So
I think if we do a sequel, and by the reaction we got, I think it's likely. we'll definitely look at the rewards a little differently this time.
Yeah.
We have the experience now of the first one.
Dan, do you know, will this book be solicited direct to comic shops at all?
I know that it's set up to come out through Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I don't know if it's going to go to comic shops. I believe it is.
I would imagine that Dynamite is going to release it somehow. I just didn't know if you knew what that was.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do the hardcover. I think they'll do soft cover for that to keep the hardcovers unique to, which I like that idea too.
That's what a lot of these projects do, right? Like
Yeah.
a friend of mine is a very successful Kickstarter creator, and all of his Kickstarters, first stretch goal is hardcover. Well, now when it gets released through his publisher, direct to comic shops, it's soft cover with different art.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey guys, we with 6 books managed to fill an entire hour.
Technically 7, but yeah.
Technically 7. And
And
we
thank
only
you,
made
Sean,
Dan
for
blush
that
a
word.
little.
I was thanking Sean for the kind words.
Yes. We only made Dan blush a little, which is super fun because I know he doesn't take a compliment well, but he certainly earned it here.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. If you are traveling, I'm traveling this weekend. I traveled last weekend, and I visited Top Comics in Traverse City, Michigan, a store that I found through Comic Shop Locator. I'm heading to DC this weekend for AwesomeCon. And I was already on Comic Shop Locator doing the thing where I type in the area code of the place where I'm going. And I'm going to visit Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland.
I've heard of Third Eye Comics. I've heard of Third Eye Comics.
Right. That's why I'm visiting them. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
So I found them on Comic Shop Locator. Head over to comicshoplocator.com, type in the area code of where you are or where you might be in the future, and find a comic shop nearby and go visit it. It's great.
Summer, I'll say this summer, if you got some time off, going to do a road trip, plot out comic stores along your way.
Okay, one of my favorite things, I call it comic book vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I will go on a vacation based on where comic shops are. So a couple of summers ago, well, not a couple of summers ago, it'll be 2 years ago, October. I went on vacation and we went Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cincinnati, Newport, Kentucky, and then came back. And where we've stopped and visited and where our hotels were based on the comic shops I visited. Maybe this year I'll do Cleveland, Pittsburgh, go that direction, go east or west, and visit comic shops. It's a great way to see the country. It's a great way to check out great shops. And you can do it all through comicshoplocator.com. So make sure you check that out. You think we've done the job of plugging comicshoplocator.com?
I think we have.
All right. Well, for Jay and
I think we've done all right.
Yeah, I think so. So for Jay and Dan, I've been Kyle. This has been In Stores This Week, and I promise that I'm going to reverse this video so that it makes more sense sometimes. See you guys next week.